wealth, status. Mansions glittering under golden light, cars polished until they gleamed like mirrors, and bank accounts deep enough to erase almost any problem in life. That was the world of Adrian Sterling, a man who had everything most people only dared to dream about. To the outside world, he was the definition of success. But behind the cold marble walls of his mansion, Adrian lived with one haunting question that not even his millions could answer. Did anyone truly love him for who he was, or only for what he had? If this story moves your heart even a little, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more stories that remind us of the value of love, honesty, and humanity. And drop a comment to let us know your thoughts. Your words mean the world to us. Adrian wasn't just rich, he was lonely. Money had never been a problem for him since his late father left him a vast fortune, but trust? That was rare. Every smile he received seemed to be painted with expectation, every hand that reached for him often extended for something else, a deal, a gift, a favor. And now, as he approached his mid-30s, he was ready to settle down. He had been dating Vanessa, a strikingly beautiful woman who had charmed him with her wit, laughter, and dazzling presence. She was the kind of woman who turned heads when she entered a room, the kind of woman who made you believe you were the luckiest man alive just by standing beside her. Adrian cared for her deeply, but in the quiet corners of his heart, a doubt gnawed at him. Did she love him, or did she love his wealth? One evening, while sitting alone in his study, Adrian made a bold decision. He would test her love in the most dramatic way possible. He would pretend to be paralyzed, confined to a wheelchair, helpless, dependent. If Vanessa's love was genuine, she would stand by him. But if it was shallow, she would reveal her true colors. It was risky, even cruel in some ways, but Adrian was desperate for the truth. The next week, Adrian staged a story. After a supposed accident, he returned home in a wheelchair, his legs wrapped, his movements painfully slow. Doctors, hired through private connections, confirmed the narrative. Vanessa was shocked at first, her hands flying to her mouth in horror when she saw him wheeled into the living room. She cried, embraced him, and whispered words of comfort. For a fleeting moment, Adrian felt relief. Maybe she truly loved him. Maybe she would stay. But as days turned into weeks, Adrian began to notice subtle changes. The warmth in her touch cooled, the patience in her voice thinned, and the glow in her eyes dimmed whenever she looked at him. She stopped coming over as often, making excuses about work trips and family matters. When she did show up, she scrolled endlessly on her phone, sighed when Adrian needed help, and once even muttered under her breath, "This isn't the life I signed up for." Adrian's heart cracked with each passing day. The woman he thought might be his forever was slipping away, not because of the accident, but because her love wasn't deep enough to survive without luxury and glitter. And in those moments of quiet despair, when he was left alone in his wheelchair with no one to talk to, someone unexpected began to notice him. Her name was Elena. She was the maid in his mansion, quiet and humble, often moving about the house like a shadow. She had been working for him for just under a year, a woman in her late 20s who came from a struggling background. She was not the type to draw attention, no expensive makeup, no designer clothes. But her presence was steady, her voice soft, and her hands gentle. Adrian had barely noticed her before, but now, in his time of weakness, Elena became the only person who treated him as more than a burden. Elena never sighed when he asked for water. She never rolled her eyes when he dropped something on the floor. She never rushed through conversations. Instead, she brought him meals with care, adjusted his blanket when the evenings grew cold, and sometimes, when she thought he was asleep, hummed softly while cleaning. One evening, Adrian watched her pick up a glass he had accidentally knocked over. She smiled, not at the task, but at him. It wasn't pity. It wasn't duty. It was kindness. And in that small moment, Adrian felt something stir inside his chest that he hadn't felt in years. As weeks passed, Adrian found himself looking forward to Elena's presence more than anything else. They began to talk, at first about small things, like the weather or the flowers in the garden, but soon about life, dreams, and struggles. Elena spoke of her childhood, of working 2 jobs to support her younger brother, of the nights she went hungry so he could eat. She never complained about her hardships, though. She told her stories with quiet strength, with an acceptance that made Adrian's heart ache. Adrian listened, really listened, in a way he had never done with Vanessa. He realized he could talk to Elena about his fears too, the emptiness of wealth, the loneliness that no party could cure, the pain of being doubted and used. She didn't judge him. She didn't flatter him. She simply listened, her eyes warm and steady, as if his words mattered. Meanwhile, Vanessa's true colors grew brighter, and darker. One day, Adrian overheard her on the phone, laughing with a friend. "Can you believe it? He's stuck in a chair, and I have to play nurse. Ugh. Honestly, I'm just waiting it out. If things don't improve, I'm not wasting my time." The words sliced through him like a blade. He knew then, with devastating certainty, that her love had been nothing more than a facade. But while one woman's mask crumbled, another woman's truth emerged. Elena wasn't just kind, she was genuine. She treated him not as a millionaire or a patient, but as a man. And slowly, Adrian began to realize something shocking. In pretending to be broken, he had found someone who made him whole. When Adrian finally revealed the truth to Vanessa, that he was never truly paralyzed, she exploded in rage. She accused him of betrayal, of manipulation, of wasting her time. She stormed out of his mansion, slamming the door behind her, and never looked back. For Adrian, the door wasn't just the end of a relationship, it was the end of his doubt. But with Elena, the reveal was different. One afternoon, he wheeled himself into the garden, and then, standing tall for the first time in weeks, he looked at her stunned face. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, silence hung between them. Then she laughed, tears slipping down her cheeks, and whispered, "So you can walk." He nodded, ashamed of the trick but desperate for her understanding. "I needed to know if love in my life was real," he admitted. Elena stepped closer, her voice trembling but kind. "You didn't need to test me, Adrian. Real love, it always shows itself." And in that moment, surrounded by roses swaying in the evening breeze, Adrian realized that true love had been right there all along, not in the glittering parties, not in the polished smiles, but in the quiet strength of a woman who had nothing to gain, and everything to give. Their story didn't end with fireworks or dramatic vows. It grew gently, like the soft bloom of a flower. Adrian began to see life not through the lens of wealth, but through Elena's eyes, simple joys, honest connections, and love that didn't come with conditions. And for the first time in his life, Adrian felt richer than ever before. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. These stories are here to remind us that no matter how broken the world seems, kindness and true love still exist. And before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe true love can be tested, or does it prove itself naturally over time? Your answer might inspire someone who needs to hear it today.